Welcome back. I hope you took a look at those 4 videos because they'll go into the sales process a lot more than I can. If you're interested in learning more about sales, there's a variety of courses we offer here at COBPA where you can learn that. Courses that I teach that are related to that are the negotiations and the relationship side. But you can also take personal selling. You can take sales management, which I believe teaches you the Microsoft program that I've spec'd out in the next video for you to take a look at. So there's a wide variety of courses if you want sales as your career or you're thinking of sales as a career. Just one comment before we go into the last topic of the day. On Wednesday, we're going to be studying pricing. So for that lecture, I'm going to be recording this not from my lovely home office where we are today, but out of a classroom in Gamble Hall. And the reason I'll be doing that is Chapter 19 has a lot of calculations in it, and I want to be able to use the whiteboard. So be ready for Chapter 19 pricing for Wednesday. You might want to make sure you're taking notes. And remember, for the 4th test, you will need a calculator for that. Okay. The first part of the class that we did today was all about the sales process, and it was all about sales techniques and things like that, okay? Learning about the customer relationship selling. Sales reps don't act alone. They have to be managed. And the last part of today's topic is sales management. And sales management basically revolves around defining the goals that we want our sales reps to achieve. So every year a sales rep is given, here's your sales goal for the year. Here's how many hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars in product you have to sell. If some of you work in retail, you're used to that now. You're probably given, we expect you to sell X amount per hour on the floor, or we expect X amount per square foot to be sold per hour or per shift in your area. Those are great examples of sales goals, and they've been set based upon the sales manager's experience, what's going on in terms of the products that at that point, the target market, and what they think the competition is doing. In addition to setting the target for the sales rep, they'll also define the sales process. Sales reps spend a lot of time in training. And remember I said if you don't do that, you end up with potentially 2 problems. Number 1 is an inconsistent message, which isn't good. And number 2 is you might end up with the sales rep selling something the customer doesn't need, which isn't good because both of those, selling them something they don't need, inconsistent messages, are not congruent with our goal of having a relationship, a long-term relationship with the customer. So the next thing we want to look at is once we've set the goals and we've set the sales process, is how many sales reps do we need? Okay. What's the sales force structure going to look like? Again, I mentioned I came out of the medical side. Typically in a medical device area, you'll have a senior sales rep and then you've got a junior rep. The junior rep is learning the ropes and eventually will move up to be the senior if they can pass all of their hurdles. What the junior rep is there for is to test out the theories about, okay, how do you sell? How do you overcome objections? How do you find out what the customer wants? Building the relationship. The senior rep is there to guide them, give them their experience. And they're probably also there, at least in my experience, to overcome that one problem that all new salespeople have, forgetting to ask for the sale. The number of times I've seen the senior person go, maybe we should ask for the sale. Or, so now I'd like to talk to you about closing. Or now I want to talk to you about when we can deliver this product. Something to that effect. So that's the Salesforce structure on an individual basis. Then you try and decide if you want to do a geographic breakdown. Is it going to be a product breakdown? Is it going to be based upon size of customer? You generally do that based upon industry norms and how you segment customers in other ways. Okay? So if you go into a car dealership, let's stick with that example. So that's a good consumer example. What you'll typically find is some guys specialize in used cars. Some will specialize in new cars. Somebody may specialize in trucks if it's a really big dealership or like the ones in Texas because they really understand the truck market, not so much the car side. And then you've always got the fleet person. The fleet person is a different type of sales altogether because they don't sell vehicles one at a time. They're used to selling 1 or 100 at a time, depending upon the size of the fleet sales of the dealership. Okay. We go out and recruit and train our sales force. So where do we find salespeople? Well, universities are great places to find them. What do we look for? Outgoing personality, for one. Somebody who's not afraid of rejection. Somebody who can easily adapt to what's going on. Is always good sales skill. And a good presenter. Okay, somebody who's can really present well and get people excited are some of the things we look for. So we go out and recruit them, and then we train them using our system. I often tell my students, my undergrad students, look, when you graduate, the best thing you can do is go get a job with one of the bigger companies that have a great training program, because you'll learn a lot since they've spent a lot of time and effort figuring out how to sell. You'll build up a great book of contacts. Remember, a lot of this is about networking. And best of all, you're doing it on somebody else's nickel. So it's all good if you can find a company that's got a really strong training program. Procter & Gamble was noted for theirs. IBM was noted for theirs. Hewlett-Packard, to an extent, is noted for theirs. Okay. Then we figure out how to pay and motivate our sales reps. Well, there's kind of three ways we can pay. The first one is we give them a straight salary. The problem typically with straight salary is this, that sales reps tend to get lazy because they know they're going to get paid the same amount whether they work hard or not. So most companies don't like that. The other extreme is straight commission, 100% commission. Usually car dealers run on that kind of model. Okay. The problem with 100% commission is then all the sales reps want to do is sell. And that gets you away from the relationship side of the business. So what we try and do is come up with a happy medium, kind of a hybrid, where you get a base salary plus your bonus or your commission once you hit certain milestones. What we find with that is it's really good at motivating the salesperson to do all the relationship, the customer building, all the things for which they wouldn't be rewarded under a straight commission basis. But it still encourages them to stretch what they're doing so they can make more. And that's why you'll often see sales reps are some of the highest paid people in the company. I had a friend once who was, he sold insurance. And before he rolled out of bed on January 1st each year, he was already making over $1 million in commissions based upon the sales he'd made in previous years. Now, he's still selling. Okay, because some of those would start to drop off, so he had to replace them. He liked his $1 million income, but he had to work on that. I had another friend who was a general manager at a car dealership, and he had such a tremendous book of clients that every year he knew he was going to sell 250 cars. Okay, if he sold more than 250, bonus to him. But he knew he'd sell 250, and he based his income on 250 car sales. So what you're looking at is, how do you compensate them? Commission, salary, or mix. A lot of companies have gone to the mix. The other thing is you can motivate them to do things using non-monetary methods. Most sales reps are highly internalized. It's their own personal struggle that they're dealing with when they're selling. So if you can find something that really appeals to that, an intrinsic reward instead of an extrinsic cash reward, you will motivate them. That could be something like a trip. That could be something like becoming part of the president's circle, okay? It's something that means that they've accomplished their goals. It means they're at the top, but it really doesn't cost you a lot of money. And then at the end of the year, you need to evaluate the sales force. You need to take a look at how many new customers did they bring in? How many did they retain? How many did they recover, customers that have left, okay? How many have they got in the prospect hopper? Where are they at in closing them? Okay, how are they viewed by their customer base? In a lot of cases now, sales reps are also judged by their customer bases. And in the 80s, there was a lot of proponents where the companies, your customers, should be part of the hiring process for your sales reps. Okay, they'll measure them on all sorts of things, and then they'll evaluate them. And those that don't meet the standards are let go, and new people are brought in. So that's evaluating. When you're talking about sales management, one of the things we have to look at in today's day and age is even though we have a lot of personal contact because we've got our personal sales force out in the marketplace, there are a variety of touch points that are electronic that we need to account for because they're all going towards the sales piece. So we need to look at our web-based interactions, our social customer relationship management. Where are they doing on our social media? Do we see them accessing our Twitter? Unless it's younger consumers, Facebook, okay? Our online site. Are they reading our owned media? What we're trying to find out, are they accessing our Instagram? What we're trying to find out is, where are they coming at us so we can better position our sales process for finding those customers and starting to qualify them in terms of prospects. And then at the point of sale interactions, what are we learning at point of sale? What are some of the objections that are coming up that we need to deal with? All right, last but not least, the sales manager is responsible for leveraging all that customer information. So they come up with a campaign, a sales campaign. We've got a promotional campaign, which makes people aware, gets them interested. Now we need to get the desire and the action. Okay, that's where this particular campaign comes into play. Should we be focusing on? What are the needs we need to focus on? What are the goals that we should be stressing? How do we retain loyal customers? What differentiates a loyal customer from a transactional customer, somebody who comes and goes? Okay. All of those things are what the sales manager is looking at, in addition to figuring out ways to take other products we sell and get them sold to that same customer. For companies like Procter & Gamble, that's a huge issue because they have such a broad range of products. If they've got a customer that's buying one small part, but they could be buying others, they want those other ones in there so they can boost their sales. And last but not least, we want to figure out how we can use all this information we've collected from our sales reps, from our electronic sources, to better communicate with our customers. And that's part of the sales process. Okay, that's the end of my part for today. I've got another video for you that you can go and look at. This video talks about how the Microsoft program, which we teach here at the COBPA, can be used to better manage your sales force. So enjoy that. And tomorrow we'll cover chapter 18. And then remember, Wednesday, bring your calculator because it's chapter 19 pricing, all sorts of calculations. That's it for now. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.